Chapter 1. All because her personal assistant had a drunken meltdown at our engagement party, sobbing and begging my fiancée not to marry me. She took off the engagement ring I just placed on her finger in front of everyone. She looked at me with a pleading, troubled expression. "Sincere, if we continue with the ceremony, Ethan really won't be able to handle it. I swear as soon as I calm him down, we'll get married right away. Don't worry," she added. "I only think of him as a brother. You'll always be the man I love most." I watched as she decisively tore off her veil and went to gently console her assistant, and I swallowed my pain and called off the engagement party. She would never know that I had made a pact with my family long ago. If I wasn't married in 3 days, I would have to accept an arranged marriage. Now it seemed it was time for us to end. The first time Ethan Lowe made a scene at the engagement party, begging my fiancée not to marry me, Victoria Vance's face fell, and she gave him a harsh dressing down. But as I was preparing to place the ring on her finger again, Ethan started sobbing once more. He smashed a wine bottle and pointed the jagged edge at his own neck, crying his heart out. "Victoria, if you marry Sincere Harrison, I'll kill myself right here in front of you this time." Victoria completely panicked. She no longer cared about defending my dignity by publicly scolding Ethan for his immaturity. Instead, she frantically pulled the ring from her hand, tossed it aside, and softly urged him not to be rash. Then she turned to me, her voice urgent. "Sincere, Ethan is extremely unstable right now. We have to stop the engagement immediately. I know this is unfair to you, my love, but our engagement is just being postponed. He could lose his life, rest assured, even if we cancel the engagement. You're the only man I'll ever love seeing my silence." She bit her lip and said bitterly, "The choice is yours. No matter what you choose, my vow to love you will never change." I looked at her pained, restrained expression and understood completely. Nominally, she was giving me a choice, but in reality, she had already made it for me. In that moment, I didn't feel sad, just a profound sense of desolation. Victoria and I had been in love for 6 years, and this wasn't the first or second time she had sided with her assistant, Ethan. I had been jealous before, argued with her, but every time, after gently placating me, Victoria would go out with Ethan again. Gradually, I'd grown resigned to it. After so many years of love, I couldn't bear the thought of breaking up, especially with our wedding just around the corner. A long-held dream about to be realized. But I never expected that today's farce would make me understand so clearly. This relationship could never go back to what it was. All right, let's cancel it then. After I spoke calmly, Victoria's eyes filled with tenderness and affection, but the words that came out of her mouth were apologetic. Then, the rest of the ceremony, she trailed off, but I understood. She wanted me to give the guests an explanation, and at the same time give Ethan a way to save face. If that's what she wanted, I would grant her wish. Ladies and gentlemen, today's engagement party is canceled. Thank you all for coming. You may leave now. I took the microphone and said this with a blank expression. As expected, Ethan put down the broken bottle, his emotions stabilizing. The guests, however, started pointing and whispering about me. One man even came up to me and sneered, "You're such a wimp. Someone's stealing your woman, and you're just letting it happen." I saw no point in arguing, so I said nothing. But Victoria couldn't stand it. She rushed over, shielding me protectively, and snapped at the man, "What do you know my Sincere is doing this because he loves me as long as I'm here. No one gets to bully him." Get out the guest, taken aback by her ferocity, muttered something and scurried away. A subtle bitterness welled up inside me. No one can bully Sincere, but the one bullying me is you. As the crowd slowly dispersed, Victoria softly reassured me, "Sincere, don't worry. I'll plan the next engagement party myself. I promise you won't be wronged again." I didn't respond. Just then, Ethan walked over, his head bowed in guilt. "Sincere, I'm so sorry. I was drunk and acting crazy. I'm sober now. Why don't you two continue with the engagement? I promise I won't cause any more trouble, really." He looked at me earnestly, his dark, bright eyes shining with sincerity. If he hadn't waited until every single guest was gone to say this, I might have actually believed him. Victoria frowned at him, admonishing him with displeasure. You may be sober, but you also brought the engagement party to a crashing halt. Ethan, I have to say, you were incredibly thoughtless this time. You've caused Sincere a lot of trouble. Sincere is my man, your future brother-in-law. Aren't you going to apologize to him properly? Ethan lowered his head pitifully and mumbled a weak apology to me, then looked up at her. Ms. Vance, you promised you'd go to the spa with me. I've already bought the tickets. Can you come with me later? As he spoke, he glanced timidly at me. If Sincere doesn't agree, then forget it. Seeing his humble demeanor, a soft, compassionate look appeared on Victoria's face. She paused, then turned to me and gently suggested, Sincere, why don't the three of us go together? Before I could answer, Ethan spoke up again, his voice weak. I'm sorry, Sincere, but they're tickets for two, and they're sold out. Why don't you and Ms. Vance go? I'll just stay behind. At that moment, Victoria was trapped in a dilemma, completely unable to bring herself to say she'd leave Ethan behind. I vaguely remembered that Victoria hated places like spas. I'd invited her once, and she'd said she thought they were unclean. But now, for Ethan's sake, she was showing a great deal of interest. Realizing this, I spoke the words she couldn't. You two go. I'm going home to rest. With that, I walked out of the hotel by myself. Victoria shot me a guilty look and hurried to catch up. She made several half-hearted gestures as if to say she wouldn't go, but she couldn't bring herself to say the words. We reached the parking lot in front of the hotel. We had come in one car. Ethan had mentioned the spa was about 20 miles away, and they would need to drive. Snow had already begun to fall. I offered them the car and decided to walk home. It was a little over a mile, not far, but not exactly close either. Victoria watched my solitary figure retreat, her eyes filled with even more heartache. A few seconds later, she suddenly ran to catch up to me. She instinctively reached for my hand and exclaimed, Sincere, your hands are so cold. She quickly took off her scarf and gloves and, without asking, put them on me. She leaned in close and whispered gently in my ear, Sincere, don't overthink things. I'll arrange our wedding very soon. Her gaze was as soft as water. I didn't answer, just nodded and walked away. The snow was falling heavily, landing in my hair and bringing a touch of cold. Just then, my phone rang. Sincere, your engagement to Victoria Vance has been cancelled. As per our agreement, in 3 days, you are to return and accept the family's arranged marriage. I was the heir to the powerful Harrison family of Jinghai. To avoid an arranged marriage, I had moved to Qingzhou to make it on my own. Later, I met Victoria by chance. We got to know each other and fell in love. When my family found out, they used their power to try and force me back. I refused adamantly. So we made a pact. If I didn't get married within 3 years, I had to return and accept the arranged marriage. I used to think that marriage was just a casual formality for my relationship with Victoria, but now, reality had slapped me hard in the face. After agreeing to the marriage, I walked home. The winter was truly cold. Even with the scarf and gloves Victoria had given me, my body was still shivering. As if on cue, Victoria sent me a message. Are you home yet? I replied, I'm home, and went to take a bath. When I got out, a voice message from Victoria popped up on my phone. The background was noisy with the sound of flowing water, along with the laughter of a man and a woman splashing and playing. Don't splash me, Ethan, you little devil. You're getting my clothes all wet, Miss Vance. Watch me swim over to you. I knew exactly whose voices they were, and a bitter irony washed over me. The voice message was quickly deleted. A moment later, Victoria called. I let it ring for a few seconds before answering. Sincere, did you get a message just now? Victoria's voice was filled with nervous probing. I said flatly, what message? I just got out of the shower. Victoria immediately sighed in relief, chuckled, and said it was nothing. She reminded me to use an extra blanket tonight and mentioned she probably wouldn't be coming home. I grunted in acknowledgement and hung up. An indescribable sorrow settled in my heart. Looking around our home, everything from the print on my pillow to the style of the decor was a trace of the love Victoria and I once shared. Back then, her eyes and heart were filled with only me. She'd said, "Sincere, you are the light of my life, I love you, forever." How did love change so much? I started to wrap up my work. Since I had decided to leave, I needed to tie up loose ends in Qingzhou. Suddenly, my email inbox was flooded with over 1,000 photos. I opened them and saw they were all of Victoria and Ethan at the spa. My email was synced with Victoria's. Any message she received, I did too. Under the dim, warm lighting, the two of them wore matching robes, sometimes in the water, sometimes on the tatami mats. They struck all sorts of playful poses. The photos were incredibly atmospheric. Their gazes were electric, full of heat and restraint, the tension between them palpable. I scrolled through them one by one, my heart growing number and number. The next morning I was woken up by a call from Victoria. She immediately launched into an anxious explanation. "Sincere, you saw those photos, didn't you? Ethan and I were just playing around, please don't misunderstand," Victoria explained frantically, begging me not to overthink it. "Sincere, if you're angry, you can yell at me. I know I was completely out of line with Ethan this time. I'm sorry, it will never happen again. Please don't keep your anger bottled up, okay? I'm begging you, Sincere." My silence made her more and more flustered. Finally I spoke. "It's fine." Victoria didn't believe me. She was so agitated that her voice broke into a sob. "Sincere, I know you must be hurting terribly. Wait for me. I'm packing up and coming home to see you right now. I'll explain everything in person. Sincere, please don't feel wronged." She hung up in a hurry, apparently on her way back. I glanced at the time. It was just after 7. It was about time for me to pack my things and get ready to leave. When the housekeeper saw me packing all my personal belongings, she cried out in shock, "Sir, are you leaving? Miss Vance will never agree to this." It was true. Everyone in this house knew that Victoria loved me more than life itself. The first day she brought me here to live, she had emphatically instructed everyone. "Sincere is the master of this house. His word is law. You can be careless with me, but you must take good care of him. No one is allowed to make him unhappy." If I were to leave, she would undoubtedly do everything in her power to keep me, because she couldn't imagine a life without me. But I just said calmly, "It's all right, I'll talk to her." By the time I finished packing and left the house, Victoria still hadn't returned. I checked into a hotel first. About 2 hours later, there was a sudden knock on my room door. Outside stood Victoria, her hair disheveled, with tear stains at the corners of her eyes. She finally breathed a sigh of relief when she saw me and threw herself into my arms, crying pitifully. "Sincere, why did you move out? Are you trying to scare me to death?" I was about to speak when Ethan appeared out of nowhere, cutting me off with a tearful accusation. "Sincere, Miss Vance and I just went to the spa to relax. Do you really have to run away from home just to get attention? You're just targeting me, aren't you?" His voice choked with emotion as he spoke. "If that's the case, I might as well just go and die right now so I won't be a nuisance to anyone hearing this." Victoria was horrified and immediately pushed me away to stop Ethan. "Ethan, don't say such things," she said urgently. She whispered a few words to him, then turned and pulled me by the hand back into the room. When it was just the two of us, her tone was weary and disappointed. She tried to control her emotions, lowering her voice to say, "Sincere, I know you don't like Ethan, but please don't provoke him, okay? I've told you that you're the man I love most in this life. Please stop testing me. This is hard on everyone." The desolation in my heart deepened, but I just said flatly, "Sorry. It won't happen again." Seeing my calm demeanor, Victoria softened again, her voice becoming more gentle. "All right, Sincere, I'm not blaming you. I just hope you won't get jealous and ruin everyone's mood. Now come home with me. Stop sulking, okay?" But I pulled my hand away from hers and said calmly, "I'm not going back. Let's have dinner tonight. There's something I need to tell you." Victoria's expression froze. She felt a sudden wave of unease and was about to speak. But just then Ethan walked over looking pitiful. "Miss Vance, my head hurts. Can you take me to the hospital? I can barely stand, Miss Vance. Can you help me?" Victoria frowned, clearly wanting to refuse, but her body moved instinctively to support Ethan. With no other choice, she had to take him and leave. After they left, I booked a table downstairs and invited a few of my good buddies from Qingzhou to get together that evening. I would announce the news of my return to Jinghai for the arranged marriage to my friends and to Victoria then. After making the arrangements, I received a photo from Ethan. It showed Victoria had taken him back to our home. She was in the kitchen, wearing an apron, busy at work. The photo was accompanied by a message, "Sincere, are you still waiting alone in your hotel for Miss Vance to come get you? Keep waiting. Miss Vance is busy making me dumplings from scratch. You're just a clown." Looking at his taunting words, I felt not a single ripple of emotion in my heart. Evening arrived quickly. In the private room, my friends had all arrived one after another, but Victoria was still not there. I called her several times. She finally picked up on the 5th call. She explained guiltily, "Sincere, I'm so sorry. Can you wait a little longer? I'll be there as soon as I finish up here." I didn't press her, just said it was fine. Then I announced, "Let's not wait. Bring out the food." When my friends learned that I was going home for an arranged marriage, they were all stunned, but they didn't ask any questions. After offering their congratulations, someone brought up whether I should tell Victoria, since we had been together for so many years and were known in our circle for being deeply in love. Just as I was hesitating, the door to the private room opened, and Victoria walked in, fashionably late, with Ethan in tow. At the sight of Ethan, everyone's expression changed. Even I hadn't expected her to be so attached to Ethan that she brought him everywhere. "Sincere, I'm so sorry I'm late. I didn't know you had invited so many friends. How about this? I'll drink 3 glasses as an apology to everyone." Victoria linked her arm through mine gently, and without hesitation, poured 3 glasses of wine and downed them all. Just then, Ethan chimed in with a passive-aggressive tone. "Sincere, you've invited so many good friends to this dinner. Could it be that you're preparing some kind of surprise for Miss Vance? Sigh, if I had known, I wouldn't have come. I hate being a third wheel and making you unhappy." His manipulative, two-faced tone made everyone in the room frown. Even Victoria found it inappropriate and shot him a look of displeasure. "Ethan, watch your mouth." Ethan stuck out his tongue and lowered his head, looking wronged. Watching the two of them interact as if no one else was there, wearing matching couples' watches and exuding the scent of the same perfume, I knew with absolute clarity that the woman who had once loved me so deeply was gone forever. At this point, Victoria couldn't help but ask me, "By the way, Sincere, you said you had something to tell me. What is it? It's not a proposal, is it?" Her expression was a mix of shyness and joy, but also a hint of difficulty. She leaned close to my ear and whispered, "Sincere, let's hold off on the proposal. Ethan is still here, it's not really appropriate. Let's wait until next time." At that moment, one of my buddies at the side couldn't take it anymore and chimed in coolly. "Miss Vance, you've misunderstood. Sincere isn't planning to propose to you. He's here to inform you that he's going home for an arranged marriage." For a moment, everyone stared at Victoria with complicated expressions. The smile on Victoria's face froze. She stared at the others in disbelief, then turned to me. "Arranged marriage? What arranged marriage?" Her voice trembled as she tried her best to ask me in a gentle tone, "Say something sincere. What are they talking about? I don't understand." I knew she was panicking. I took a deep breath and said calmly, "Victoria, I'm going back to marry the fiancé my family arranged for me. Let's break up." Chapter 2. Victoria's heart jolted. She stared at me in disbelief, her eyes immediately turning red. What did you say? I didn't hear you clearly. Say it again." Her voice was trembling uncontrollably. I repeated flatly, "Let's break up. After all these years, I don't think we're right for each other. After this meal, let's end it." As the words fell, tears were already welling up in Victoria's eyes. She sobbed. No, Sincere, don't joke with me like this. Are you saying these things because you're hurt that I didn't go through with the engagement party yesterday? I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I truly know I was wrong. I will never ever do that again. Please take back what you just said, please. I'm begging you. I shook my head. Victoria, I'm serious. This glass is a toast to our 6 years of love. I poured a glass of wine and drank it in one go. Our eyes met. Tears streamed down Victoria's face. Just then, Ethan, who was standing nearby, couldn't help but speak up. Sincere, you can't be serious, can you? You're really willing to break up with Victoria. How could you do this? Is it because we went to the spa yesterday? You can't be so petty. Victoria, don't cry, I'll talk to him. Shut up, Victoria's sharp voice cut Ethan off abruptly. Her lips trembling, she gave me a resolute look, then turned and stormed out of the private room. Normally I would have chased after her without a second thought, trying every way possible to console her. And if I wanted to, we could reconcile at any moment, because Victoria could never bear to be angry or argue with me. But now my feet felt as if they were nailed to the floor, and I didn't move an inch. Ethan quickly ran out after her. Seeing this, my buddies hesitated before asking me, Sincere, are you sure you can let her go just like that? Shouldn't you go after her? I didn't answer, but in my heart I was asking myself the same question. Could I let her go? Ever since I met Victoria, I had always considered myself a happy man. We both believed in a unique, true love, and our views on romance were perfectly aligned. We vowed to see each other as our one true love and to never betray one another. But Victoria had changed. Even if I believed she still loved me now, if it wasn't an exclusive love, I would rather not have it at all. That night I drank a lot, celebrating my return to single life and at the same time burying my naive and laughable belief in true love. When I left the hotel's private room, I refused my friend's offers to accompany me and went for a walk alone to clear my head. My steps were unsteady and I nearly fell, but a woman with a light, fresh scent suddenly appeared and caught me. Her voice was pleasant and melodic. Are you all right? Chapter 6. I looked up, subconsciously thinking it was Victoria, but I quickly realized I had never seen this person before, yet she felt very familiar. Hello, my name is Isabel Sterling, your fiancée and the person you're in an arranged marriage with. In that moment I understood who she was. Isabel Sterling helped me to a bench by the roadside. She studied me and asked curiously, if breaking up is so painful, why do it? No one is forcing you into this marriage. It was true. My family had already made concessions for Victoria and me, yet I still chose to give up on love. Why? Perhaps it was because I don't want to be in pain anymore. A relationship that had soured could never go back to the way it was. I don't know how I made it back to the hotel, only that when I woke up, it was the next morning. Someone was knocking on the door. When I opened it, I saw Victoria. Her eyes were red and swollen, and her beautiful face was slightly puffy. Sincere. She spoke, her voice incredibly hoarse. She had clearly been crying all night. I didn't say anything. Victoria's voice broke as she called my name again. Let's not break up, okay? I'm begging you, don't leave me. I can't live without you. Tears streamed down from the corners of her eyes, her voice filled with sorrow and pain. Nothing happened between Ethan and me. I swear if you agree, I'll fire him and make sure he never shows his face in Qingzhou again. Just as she finished speaking, Ethan popped up again, looking anxious. Victoria, are you really getting rid of me? I'll die without you. Please don't fire me, I'm begging you. Victoria, Sincere must be joking with you, testing you. He doesn't really want to break up, he just wants to get rid of me. Sincere, you're so cruel, you... Slap. Victoria's hand struck Ethan across the face, cutting him off and leaving him stunned. She looked as if she had reached her breaking point. She raged at Ethan. Didn't I tell you yesterday not to follow me anymore? Ethan, are you incapable of understanding plain English? How many times have I told you, Sincere is the man I love most. You're nothing but a lapdog. Where are your manners? Did a dog eat your sense of boundaries? She berated him fiercely, her emotions fluctuating wildly. Ethan's face turned pale, then red. He couldn't understand how Victoria, who was usually so tolerant of him, could suddenly change her tune. And even hit him? After a few seconds, he shot me a hateful glare, his eyes burning with jealousy. Sincere, come home with me. Let's not talk about the past anymore. I won't let an insignificant clown like Ethan bother you ever again. Tomorrow we'll get married tomorrow, okay? Victoria looked at me humbly, pleading incessantly. Before I could answer, Ethan, as if triggered, began muttering non-stop. You're going to marry Sincere Harrison? Victoria, you can't marry him. I love you, I love you. Are you going to force me to kill myself? Fine. I'll die for you both to see Victoria. I love you. With a blood-curdling scream, Ethan actually slammed his head into the wall. Blood spurted out, splattering across the surface. Chapter 7. I was stunned by the scene. When I came to my senses, I immediately dialed for an ambulance. Victoria was even more terrified. She rushed over and cradled Ethan as he lay in a pool of his own blood, screaming his name. Ethan, Ethan, how could you be so foolish? How could you be so foolish? Lying in her arms, Ethan's tears mixed with his blood as he said weakly, Victoria, I don't want to see you sad. I love you so much, so much. Victoria's tears fell even faster. Soon the ambulance arrived and Victoria went with Ethan in it. From beginning to end, she didn't say another word to me. It wasn't until the afternoon that Victoria sent me a text, letting me know that Ethan's life was not in danger. Then she started trying to win me back. Sincere, you've been upset for a while now. You should have calmed down, right? I never realized Ethan's feelings for me ran so deep. But don't worry, I only see him as a brother. I won't accept them. She sent several messages, none of which I replied to. Half an hour later, I suddenly received a money transfer through my messaging app for $10,000. Sincere, take the money. Consider it compensation for me not being with you these last couple of days. Please just forgive me this once. Buy whatever you want. Don't worry about saving my money. I immediately declined the transfer. That afternoon, I had a meal scheduled with my fiancée, Isabel Sterling. This was also at my family's request. At the restaurant, Isabel didn't talk about feelings. She got straight to the point, discussing the business dealings and mutual interests between our two families. In the end, we agreed to act as a normal married couple. We wouldn't expect love, but we would be required to give each other face in public and not mess around on the side. Having reached an agreement, we went to City Hall to get our marriage license. I don't like to drag things out. Since I had chosen an arranged marriage, it didn't matter who it was with. Sincere, suddenly, Victoria's voice came from behind me. She was running towards me in high heels. Her eyes swept over Isabel and me, her face turning incredibly ugly. Who is she? What are you doing here? Isabel introduced herself calmly. Hello. I am Mr. Sincere Harrison's fiancée, Isabel Sterling. We are here to get our marriage license. Marriage license? Marriage license? Victoria repeated the words in disbelief, her gaze fixed on me. Sincere Harrison, are you really going to dump me? We were together for 6 years. 6 years, and all this time, it was the first time Victoria had ever yelled at me. She kept questioning me, but I remained silent. What was there to say? The truth was right in front of us. Sincere Harrison, why don't you love me anymore? Why? Just because of the engagement party, you're throwing me away. Don't you think you're being too cruel? Victoria pushed at my arm, her eyes red and puffy, tears streaming down her face. She looked just like a deeply devoted woman who had been betrayed. It would be a lie to say I felt nothing, but at the same time, I felt a deep sense of helplessness. It was no use. If it wasn't a love that was exclusive and unchanging, I would rather not have it. Let's go get the license. I walked past Victoria, took Isabel's hand and went into the hall. When we came out a short while later with the red marriage certificate, Victoria was gone. It was better this way. The burden on my heart felt lighter. That evening I saw Victoria's post on her social media feed. An hour after I got my license, she had dragged Ethan to get a marriage certificate of their own. She even made a public announcement. Here's to the rest of our lives. Chapter 8. Many of our mutual friends were in an uproar. People started messaging me, demanding to know what was going on. Sincere, did you and Victoria really break up? You two can't be serious, right? It's gotten this bad. Victoria loves you so much. What did you do to hurt her? I offered no explanation, only saying that our fate had run its course. Lying alone in my hotel room, my mind drifted back to the past, to memories of Victoria and me. I met her at a barbecue stall. I was waiting for my food when two drunkards started making a scene, flipping over the table where Victoria and her friend were sitting and making rude comments. I couldn't stand by and watch, so I said a few words, which ended in a fight. When the police asked me to find a witness, I assumed Victoria wouldn't help me, having seen too many similar stories in the news. But to my surprise, not only did she testify for me at the station, she also added me on a messaging app and took care of me for a month. During that time, we ate together, drank together, and gradually fell for each other. Back then, Victoria seemed small and frail, but she had a heroic spirit that I found captivating. She would always stare at me with adoring eyes, saying how handsome I was and how lucky the woman who married me would be. But after Ethan appeared, her heart began to change. 6 years. In 6 years, a person can completely transform into someone else. 3 days later, I had settled everything and flown back to Jinghai. With my family handling the arrangements, the wedding was held soon after. The Harrison and Sterling families were prominent in Jinghai, and the wedding was a major event. At the ceremony, just as I had placed the ring on Isabel's finger, a wine glass suddenly shattered at my feet. Crash! Everyone's expression changed. I turned my head and saw Victoria standing up from the guest section. Her eyes were glistening with tears as she stared at me, her face deathly pale. She spoke, word by word. Sincere Harrison, why? Why did you betray our vow of one love for a lifetime? Everyone in the hall was looking at me. I looked at her quietly. Because you were the one who stopped loving first. Tears welled up in Victoria's eyes again. She bit her lip, her gaze filled with hurt and resentment. Then she turned and left. After the wedding, Isabel and I maintained a respectful distance, not interfering in each other's lives, and our cohabitation was pleasant enough. Later, I heard that Victoria and Ethan had gotten married. They didn't invite me or any other friends, just had a quiet meal with their families. Our next encounter was 3 years later. I was in Qingzhou on a business trip and had to deliver some documents to the building where Victoria worked. We happened to get into the same elevator. It was just the two of us inside. The atmosphere was silent. "Are you doing well, Sincere?" she finally asked. Her tone was calm yet full of gentle affection. "I'm doing well," I replied. Two people who were once so close they could talk about anything had now reached a point of silent awkwardness. Soon the elevator reached my floor. I stepped out first, but Victoria followed me and said quickly, "The old place. I'll wait for you at noon." The old place was the restaurant where I used to often pick Victoria up for dinner after work. I didn't know what she wanted to talk to me about. After some hesitation, I went. When I arrived, Victoria was already there. She had ordered a table full of my favorite dishes. I realized she still remembered what I liked to eat. "Sincere, over these years, have you ever thought of me?" I looked at her in silence for a long moment before saying, "It's all in the past." Victoria shook her head, her gaze fixed on me. "No, it's not in the past." She gave a slight, sad smile and suddenly raised her hand, showing me her ring finger. She was wearing a ring. Chapter 9. I was confused. "Have you forgotten?" Her smile was tragic and a little self-deprecating. "It's our engagement ring. When Ethan was having his meltdown, I threw away the ring you had just put on my finger to placate him. I looked for it for a long, long time afterward. The moment you put it on my finger, you still loved me, didn't you?" I didn't answer. She smiled bitterly. "Sincere, don't you think I'm a pathetic person? The one I love is you, yet I just couldn't say no to Ethan. I knew it would hurt you, but I did it anyway. I couldn't bear the thought of you leaving, yet I kept testing you." As Victoria spoke, her voice grew quieter. She fell silent for a long time, then looked at me again. Her gaze was gentle and full of longing. "If heaven gave me another chance, I would never let myself lose you." As time wore on, the last traces of emotion I had for Victoria had slowly faded away. Looking at the woman across from me, I felt only a sense of strangeness and a quiet sigh. "What happened with you and Ethan?" I deliberately changed the subject. Victoria just smiled and shook her head. "It was what it was. We divorced at the end of last year. He can't compare to you in any way. When things get tough, his only moves are throwing tantrums and threatening to hurt himself. I used to think it was because he was young and inexperienced, but later I realized that's just who he is. I don't know how I got so infatuated with him back then that I didn't even notice you were leaving me." Over the course of the meal, Victoria said a lot, mostly reminiscing about our past, but she seemed to have come to terms with it. She didn't try to cling to me, there was only a deep, profound regret. After we parted ways, I quickly returned to Jinghai and continued with my life. Isabel was a strong-willed career woman. For 3 years she never concerned herself with anything outside of work, yet she gave me the warmth of a home. "Sincere, can you peel these potatoes for me? Sincere, come help me roll up my sleeves. Sincere." With each call of my name, our relationship slowly grew into that of a family. My memory of Victoria became increasingly faint, as if she were a person from a past life. 2 years later, Isabel and I had our first child. He was born into the loving embrace of both the Harrison and Sterling families. On the day of his 1-month celebration, the first snow of the season was falling. After the banquet ended, I went outside for some fresh air, having had quite a bit to drink. The snow was falling in thick, swirling flakes. There I saw a familiar figure. It was Victoria, whom I hadn't seen in a very, very long time. She was wrapped in that same scarf from years ago, wearing those same gloves. The tip of her nose was red from the cold, and her eyes were fixed on me. She walked towards me, step by step, and greeted me first. "Sincere, are you doing well? I don't know why, but I was really missing you today, so I got on a plane to come see you. I happened to find out your family was having a 1-month celebration. Congratulations, Sincere. Seeing you happy, I can finally be at ease. This is a welcome gift for the baby." Victoria took a small golden lock from her pocket and placed it in my hand. I said thank you, and we stood there in silence. "Let's take a walk." We walked without an umbrella, letting the drifting snowflakes fall all around us. Neither of us spoke. By the time we walked back to my villa, our hair was white with snow. Victoria suddenly stopped and looked at me intently. I guess we did get to grow old together, in a way. Chapter 10 what? I didn't hear her clearly. She shook her head and smiled. "Goodbye, Sincere. I wish you happiness. I have to go now." Victoria turned and walked away, slowly fading out of my world. In that moment I felt a broken corner of my heart being filled by something, but alas, it was too late. In the end, Victoria never managed to walk out of that past love. 5 years later, I suddenly received news that Victoria had passed away. After the baby celebration, she had moved abroad for her career. This year, on a flight back to the country, she was killed in a plane crash. Her will had been written long ago. The beneficiary was my name, and she had left me a letter. "Sincere, are you well? I miss you again, and I couldn't help but pick up a pen to write this letter. If you're reading this, I am probably already gone. I'm so happy to have known you in this life, and I so deeply regret that I couldn't walk with you to the end. In this life, I hope you are happy. In the next life, let's start over, okay?" Her letter was short. I could tell from the handwriting that she had paused many times. She had also left me that old house. She had no other relatives in this world. When I went to the house, I discovered that everything inside was exactly as I had left it. Only then did I finally understand. Because of one mistake, she had trapped herself for the rest of her life. On the day I finished the handover procedures and left Xingzhou, it was snowing again. In a daze, I thought I heard a voice by my ear. "Sincere, are you doing well?" I answered silently in my heart. I'm doing very well. I hope that in the next life neither of us will have any regrets. The end.